Hello everybody! Today we are going to learn all these functions that are here. So let's begin this lecture from the function that is called len. And the len is shortcut for length. So that function checks how many elements are inside the list. In order to use it, we can type the name of the function, then we send there inside the name of the list, and we can just run the module. But the problem is that we will not see any result because the returned value is here. The length for the list number 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be like if we had written it like that. That's all. So we need to save that value somewhere, for example, in the variable called x, and then we can print it. As you can see, it works fine now. But we can also invoke it directly like that. Okay? And as you can see, it's 5. Okay, that's the easy one. Let's go to the append. Append function adds at the end of the list a single element. So if you want to expand the list by another element, we need to write something like that. List number 1, append, and then we add, for example, 10. Let's check if that list has changed. Let's run the module. As you can see, it's true. We've just added 10 at the end. We've got also something what is called extend. Extend means that you're gonna extend list by another list. So it is used to extend by a new list. We've just added one number. What if you want to add a new list to the list that we are using? So for example, you want to add list 1 to add to list 2. As you can see now, we've just added, we've just used the append method. This also will work, but it will work differently. Let's look at the difference. As you can see, we've just added here elements at the end. These are just new elements added to the list. But here, when we use the append method, right, when we use the append function here, notice that we have got here square brackets because we've added it as a single element. So we've added entire list at the end as a one single element. Yes, you can have lists inside another list. But by using the extend function, we are just adding elements to the end of list like they were just simple elements, right? Simple items. Okay, so that's the difference between the append and extend. You can also, that's good to know, add list like that. List plus list 2, for example. But the problem is that when we do something like that, we are creating totally in the temporary memory a new list that we need to save somewhere. So we can, for example, save it as list 3. And then when you run the module, as you can see, yes, it works like the extend. But the problem is that it's slower, right? Because you need to create somewhere in memory a temporary list and then save it to another list. You could, change, for example, list number 1. So you wouldn't need to use the third variable, but still it is, changing entire list. And right now we have got only a few elements here and here, right? But imagine that this is pretty big list of like thousands of things inside and we want to connect them. Definitely do not use this method because it will be slower. Use the extend if you want to extend the list by another list, right? Use append if you want to add at the end a single element. Okay, so now let's learn about the insert. Insert means putting something in, and well, that's what it does. List number 1, insert, and we want to insert, for example, something at the beginning, and then we put as the first thing after the parentheses the index where we want to put something, and then the value that we want to put in. So for example, we want to put 10 inside. And it means that we want to have at the start 10. Let's run the module. And as you can see, we've got here 10 now. If you want to have, for example, here 10, then we would put here 1. And when you run the module, as you can see, we have got 10 now at the index 1. If we put, for example, 2, we'll have it at the third position, so at the index 2. Okay, so that's how the insert works. We've got also a method that is called index. Index allows you to return the index of the thing that we are looking for inside the parentheses. So if we type, for example, -2, and we'll invoke it like that, you will notice that we've got 2 because, yes, it's true, 0, 1, 2. The index of -2 is 2. That's pretty okay. But what if we have 2 occurrences of, for example, 7? Then it will return only the first position, so 0, 1. The first occurrence will be returned, okay? Only the index of the first occurrence. That's all. That's how the index works. But what if we type something that doesn't exist in the array, in the list, sorry? You'll notice that there is just an error like that. And this error should be, handled. But we don't know how to do it yet. We'll learn about how to handle things like that in future. Don't worry. There is also a function that is called sort. Sort is great because you can sort as ascending or descending all the values without having to write some hard code. So right now, this is just some random numbers, but we want to have them, sorted. This is a pretty common thing to do. So we just type sort and that's all. Right now, all the items that are inside the list are sorted. That's just great. In ascending order. If we want to have reverse order, so descending, we need to, as you can see, do something like that. We need to change the reverse from the default value because the default value for the reverse is false. So when you run this again, we have the same result. But when we change it to true, you will notice then it is a descending order, right? That's pretty awesome that you can do so fast sorting in Python. There is also a very cool function that you can just check the maximum number instantly. Just use the max. If you want to see the smallest value, just use the min. Okay? There is also a function that counts how many occurrences, so how many times something shows up inside the list. So if we type, for example, list number 1, count how many times 7 is inside the list, you will notice that we've got it 2 times, right? If we type -2, it will tell us that it's only once. When we type something that doesn't exist, as you can see, it says that it doesn't exist. There is also a method that allows you to pop, so it means to remove the last element of the list. When we run the module, you will notice that we've just popped, so we removed the last element from the list. You can pop it as many times as there are elements inside the list, right? And each time we've removed the last element. So we've removed 7, 20, and -2 this time, right? Because it was 3 times invoked. You might be like, but why would I use it? Because, well, you could, for example, work on the last elements, and then after working with them, you would, for example, you wouldn't need them anymore, right? They are not needed anymore, but they are still taking the place in memory. So it's a good idea to just pop them out. So you just remove them and they will not take the memory anymore, okay? That's why the pop might be useful. You can also remove the item from the list so the first time that it shows up. So we can, for example, remove 7. So it means that we remove only that first occurrence, okay? And as when we run the module, as you can see, we have a 54, right? Minus 2, 20 and 7. We don't have that's the 7 that is here, right? Only the first occurrence is gonna be removed. We've got also the method that clears entire list. So it removes entire content of the list. And why would you use it? Well, for example, you've completely used the list, or you don't need it anymore, and you want to just clear it, right? You don't want to have it inside a memory. So it is like optimizing your program. You can also reverse the list, the order of things that are inside list. As you can see now, it's from the end. So it's 7, 7, 20, 20, minus 2, minus 2, 7, 7, 54, 54. It would be a great idea that after this lecture, you practice a bit all the things that you've just learned. Just, use these functions. Open the Python and use each of them at least once. Most time, you do not need to remember all these functions, right? Because, well, if you forget about it, you just type into the Google list functions Python, and you will find every name for each function and how do they work. But it's very important for you as a programmer to know that they exist, okay? So when someday you will be like, it would be a great idea to sort this list, but how to do it? Oh, do I need to make a loop for it? Okay, so I will try to do it like that. But no. Hey, okay. Arkadiusz told that there was a sorting function, so I can use sorting function. But how did it work? Oh, I will just type in Google sort function Python list, and then you instantly see that there is a function that sorts this, how to use it, and you can just use it, right? You don't need to remember everything by heart, right? It's not possible to remember everything when you are a programmer. Just, when you forget something, it's okay, but it's good idea to just remember that it existed, right? And then you can just easily use Google to find out about the function without having to write that function on your own. Of course, in future, you will be able to write functions like that. We'll learn how to write functions, but it takes time. Why we rewrite things that are already written, right? That would be just taking your time, which is very precious. So that's only the lesson. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.